What's happening, guys? This is William Craddock with Will to Win Gaming. Today I have for you my Smoker deck tech and primer. I'm really excited for this one, so let's go. So this is my Smoker list. It is a control focused Smoker list. You want to play it as a more defensive deck. I recently took it to a win a case tournament about 2 hours drive from me. I did lose in top 4 to my good friend Beats by Ashby. However, I opened a Manga Ace, so I didn't get the W, but I got the W. Kick off our list, we have 4 Suru. This card does 2 things. It's a 2K counter. When it comes into play, on play effect, give a character -2 to its cost, and that synergizes well with the Smoker package, and you just always want to have 4 of this card in your deck. Next, we have 4 Don Quixote Roseante, Don Rose. Let's call him DR for short. It's a blocker, costs 2. It also has a counter, so it's kind of always included in the Smoker decks in my opinion. He's just an overall good card, and right now blockers are at a premium. Next, this is where my list starts to diverge a little bit. I have the starter deck blocker, or other Suru as it's called. She does the same thing. It's a 1K counter, 2 cost, 2K blocker. Most smokers are not running 4 of both of these blockers in their deck, but I'm choosing to. So I believe Smoker always wants to play that defensive back foot game, and having the extra set of blockers is generally helpful in that regard. Next, we have 4 of the set Monkey D. Garps. He's a 2K counter. He has a rather interesting effect. When he attacks, if he has 2 Dawn under him, meaning he's attacking for 5K, you can destroy another character with cost 0. I found myself throughout the tournament generally holding this for a 2K counter. I maybe played him once against a Zoro deck, because I know against Zoro I can maybe kill 2 things on turn 2, and it kind of makes my turn more efficient. Most of the time, he's still just a 2K counter, even though he has other utility besides that. Moving on, we have the starter deck Tashigi. Again, this is a 2K counter. There's 12 of them in total in my deck. This Tashigi, like the Suru before, the 2K counter Suru, has a double use in the deck. Again, I generally found myself holding this for a 2K counter. Tashigi in particular, I don't think I ever played and activated her ability. It will come up, but it's extremely corner case when you're playing this more defensive Smoker, and yeah, just use it as a 2K counter most of the time. Next up, we have 4 Kobe. This card was a little less useful than I thought it was going to be during a tournament, but it was very good. When he comes into play, you may discard a card from your hand to KO a character that costs 3 or less. He also has a counter ability. So with your leader ability, your Smoker leader ability, you can take out anything cost 4 or less, and all it takes is 1 Dawn on your leader, and then Kobe, and discard a card. I wouldn't say I used this card early. I found myself using it more mid and late game, simply because there's a lot of other things you want to play early, but he's still effective at what he does and clearing the board when you need to, so I'm going to stick at 4 Kobe. Okay, here we go. Borsellino. This card, powerhouse through and through, was as good as advertised. You never want to cut down to less than 4. Just going through his stat line, he's 4 for a 5K on your turn. On your opponent's turn, he's a 6K that cannot be KO'd by effects. This card is extremely defensive. You can also attack with it, block with it. It's just a total package. It also has counter. I don't know why it has counter, but it does. Borsellino is always going to be a 4 of in my opinion in black decks like this, and might play 6 or 7 if I could. All right, moving on. We have SR Kuzan. He is 4 for a 5K. On play, draw a card. So he replaces himself already. That's good. That's just a good card right there. Now, when he attacks, give one of your opponent's characters -4 to their cost. And that synergizes with your Kobe, synergizes with your leader, synergizes with your Sakakazukis, and your 10-drop Kuzans. This card is just, again, an overall powerhouse. He does not have a counter, which most Smokers stuff does, but you always want to keep him as a 4 of, and that's not going to change until at least the next set. All right, for our 5 drops, right now in this list, I have 3 starter deck Smokers. At the tournament, I actually ran the starter deck Garp, and it was okay. It was good in a few matchups, but struggled in others, where I feel the starter deck Smoker being 5 for 7k and wielding the can't be KO'd by effects ability is just overall more powerful, and you can make better attacks with him, and it's harder for your opponent to kill him. So that's why I made the switch from starter deck Garp to starter deck Smoker. I think it's relatively close, but the Smoker edges him out, especially if you're trying to close out games. So up next, we have blockers number 13 through 16, our Hina. I've seen a lot of Smokers complain that they're having trouble with the Zoro matchup. I played 3 Zoros during Swiss of this win-a-case tournament. I beat all of them pretty handily. 4 Hina is just the key to that. She's 5 for 6k blocker, stat line's great, a 1k counter, perfect. Her ability though, whenever you block something, you can make a character that costs 6 or less not be able to attack that turn. And this is just essentially saying block twice. So when Zoro's trying to rush you down with a bunch of 5 and 6Ks, you can block with Hina, discard 1 card to protect her, and then make something else not an attack. There's not a lot of cards that do this. The Uta from the film deck is similar, but you have to Don -1 to use the ability. So overall, if you're having trouble with a Zoro matchup, you might examine how many Hinas you're playing, because a lot of Smoker lists I see are down to 0. All right, my favorite card in the Smoker deck, 4 Magma Man, 4 Sakazuki. This card, as good as advertised. You always want to play 4. Most of the time, I was destroying, KOing, smaller characters, 4 or less, 5 or less. But there was 1 or 2 times in a tournament where I had a SEC Kuzan in play, and I was able to KO a 9 or 10 drop. You always want to play 4 of this card. It's just good. Nothing more to say about it. I haven't toyed with cutting any because I don't want to lose that bad, so 4 Sakazuki. Finally, we have our 10 cost Kuzan secret rares. I did run 4 of these during the tournament, and every time I got one down, it was powerful. It synergizes with Kobe, synergizes with Sakazuki, even your leader ability. But he does cost 10 and doesn't have a counter ability. And with Smoker's limited card draw, drawing 2 or 3 of those would lead to a game loss, or maybe a game that was more difficult than it had to be. So I cut down on 10 drop Kuzan, and I'm going to stay at 3 for now because I just think that's the right number for this deck. Rounding out the deck tech portion, I ran 3 Shockwave at my win-a-case tournament, quickly upgraded to 4. Okay, now let's look at the deck as a whole. First of all, playing this Smoker list, and almost any Smoker list in my opinion, you always want to be on the draw. You always want to go second. Smoker's natural curve is even numbers. You got the 2 cost blockers, you got your Kuzans for 4, you got your Borsalinos on 4, you got your Sakazukis on 6. So those are the breakpoints you always want to hit, 2, 4, 6, and then 10. So if you are playing against a Smoker, you always want to put them on going first. If you are playing Smoker, you always want to go second. My Smoker list is incredibly defensive. A lot of the tools in it are good against low to the ground character decks such as Zoro. I know a lot of Smokers talk about how Zoro is a tough matchup. If you look at my deck, I have 16 blockers. I have 12 2K counters. I have 2 cards in particular that just, I wouldn't say obliterate Zoro, but make the matchup a lot easier. That's your 4 Hinas, which we talked about earlier. And finally, the 4 Shockwaves, which I was only playing 3 at the win-a-case tournament. Shockwave is so good against Zoro. You can, even if you're just going second and they start their turn with a Sunny-kun, whenever they try to attack your leader for 5, which they will because they're an aggressive deck, you can just play Shockwave to kill the Sunny-kun, KO the Sunny-kun. Now, if your opponent has some, foresight and they try to attack for 3 with the Sunny-kun, they can do that, but then it leaves it open to an attack from your leader. So it's kind of a toss-up. I don't believe your opponent's ever going to try this, but if you are a Zoro player, that is something to consider. Other things about the Smoker deck, you want to have a lot of cards in hand if possible. You know, Smoker by design, you are losing card advantage for tempo, but Smoker in general is a control deck, or at least my build. So it's kind of hard to reconcile the different play styles you have to use while using my list in particular. I think this list takes a lot of practice to play efficiently. I haven't been able to, find that right balance just yet. As again, I lost in top 4, I didn't win. Overall, I think my more controlling Smoker is leaning towards how the deck should be built. Cards like Helmeppo that are just redundant and giving characters in play minus cost, I don't think are necessary. There aren't a lot of huge threats in this format that need to be dealt with, 8, 10 drops. In OP1, we had Kaido. In OP2, we have a few cards, but not a ton, like in the Kaido deck. So just play the blockers, just play the Tashigis, the Surus, and I think you'll be fine as long as you can navigate a difficult game. Smoker's a difficult deck. I haven't perfected it. I wouldn't expect anyone else to perfect it just yet. But yeah, it's powerful. Take it to a tournament and see what you can do with it. All right, everyone. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you comment down below, ask a question. If you check my videos, I answer a lot of questions. I'm all over Reddit. I'm responsive to people who like to watch my videos, so don't be shy. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. See ya. Hear that? Okay, round 2.
Fight.
You can't put that in the bloopers though. KOing.